Welcome to One Fresno, an inclusive, prosperous, beautiful city where people take pride in their neighborhood and community. That is a vision I have for Fresno. We are a city that is poised for greatness. I believe that with all of my heart, and if I did not, I wouldn't be standing here today as your mayor. This past year has been challenging for all of us. Many have lost loved ones or suffered serious health issues due to COVID-19, while others have lost their business or source of income. To complicate matters, communities across our country have become divided as a result of widespread social unrest. If we are to become a great city, we must set aside our differences and focus on those things that unite us. Regardless of our political affiliation, color of our skin, our neighborhood in which we live, we are one Fresno. This is home for me. I love our city, and I love our diverse culture. Much of that you got to experience today in both food and entertainment. That was my dream. My administration is very focused on service. I want all of you to know that we are a government that listens, keeps its promises, and is owned by the people. And a government that clearly demonstrates we work for you. I've heard loud and clear what is important to all of you: housing our homeless, beautifying our city, focusing on inclusive economic development, restoring pride in our downtown, supporting our youth, and keeping people safe. I'm very proud of how much we have accomplished in such a short period of time in addressing one of our most pressing issues, homelessness. Under the leadership of Director H. Spees, we instituted Project Off-Ramp, forming a multi-agency partnership to relocate homeless individuals and families from our freeways, which had previously served as urban campgrounds. Project Off-Ramp has removed more than 400 homeless people from our freeways while housing over 75% of them into refurbished motel rooms with wraparound services provided. Freeways 41, 180, and 168 are now homeless-free, as is the Golden State Triangle in Southwest Fresno and most parts of the 99 freeway. With the recent acquisition of 2 more motels, we will complete Project Off-Ramp before the end of the summer and then transition it into our neighborhoods, neighborhood by neighborhood. As I walk the embankments on relocation days, there's no greater reward than having a homeless person give you a hug or a handshake and say, "Thank you, Mayor, for caring." One of those people is in attendance this morning and is a perfect example of how lives are being changed through Project Off-Ramp. Rocky Williams served in the military and moved to Fresno from Bakersfield to help build the Sierra Vista Mall. Rocky changed careers and became an electrician, where he worked for more than 2 decades. However, Rocky's love of alcohol ended up leading his life into a complete downward spiral. His alcohol abuse caused him to lose his job, his wife, and eventually his home. Rocky ended up homeless, first living in his car, and then on the freeway. I met Rocky 4 months ago. He was living in a tent on Freeway 41. Rocky is now succeeding in getting services, and according to his program director, he is a model client. Rocky is seeking employment, staying sober, obtaining a permanent place to live, and building healthy personal relationships. Rocky is on track to reach each of these goals. Rocky Williams, will you please stand up and be recognized? I love you, Rocky. Thank you. With multi-year state and federal funding on the horizon, combined with our current strategies and partnerships, we are poised to be homeless-free by the end of 2024, and I am committed, along with the council, to achieving that goal. In many parts of Fresno, neighborhoods have lost their curb appeal. Since Beautify Fresno's launch under the leadership of Director Mark Standriff, I have been overwhelmed at the response from our residents. Not only are we filling up all available reservations at every cleanup, we always have more people show up than those who sign up. Never did I imagine I would be trading in my gun and badge for a paper picker and a plastic bag on Saturdays. Beautify Fresno has hosted 45 cleanup beautification events, 90% of them south of Shaw, where the need is greatest. More than 4,100 volunteers have picked up more than 42,000 pounds of trash, removed more than 7,500 square feet of graffiti, and planted over 300 trees. Give yourself a round of applause. In fact, during the Great American Cleanup in April, we held 12 individual events citywide and cleaned up over 10,000 pounds of trash in just 2 hours. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize many of those community partners and Beautify Fresno volunteers. If you have participated in one of our Beautify Fresno cleanups, would you please stand up and be recognized? Right there in the yellow are some of them. Representative, hundreds of people here today have participated in Beautify Fresno, including every one of our council members. Based on the success of the Great American Cleanup, I'm pleased to announce another large-scale citywide cleanup event on August 7th called the Mayor's Citywide Community Cleanup. I'm inviting everyone, nonprofits, service clubs, schools, churches, businesses, and individuals to serve the community on that day. You can go to beautifyfresno.org to learn more and to sign up as a volunteer. Picking up trash is not all Beautify Fresno does. Planting and trimming trees, removing graffiti and repairing streets and sidewalks are all part of Beautify Fresno. These efforts will expand in fiscal year 22 with the addition of 3 more graffiti crews, one of them focused on our freeways through an agreement we have with Caltrans. We will also add code enforcement officers to our Beautify Fresno efforts to address neighborhood blight, vacant buildings, and illegal dumping. Lastly, we will be quadrupling our neighborhood tree trimming efforts while also investing hundreds of millions of dollars in neighborhood infrastructure over the next few years to include streets, curbs, and sidewalks. Special thank you to Public Works Director Scott Mosier for your commitment to our neighborhoods. You know, great cities have great downtowns, and the foundation of creating a great downtown begins with increased opportunities for people to live there. We must grow our downtown population from 3,000 to 10,000 residents if we are to sustain a vibrant nightlife downtown. Did you know there was a 6-month waiting list to live in downtown Fresno with virtually no vacancies? It is time that we as a city meet that demand. We must build, build, build. My administration has been working closely with investors, bankers, property owners, and dozens of developers to provide development ideas and market information to assist with conceptual designs and to walk developers through the permitting process via a concierge service provided by newly appointed downtown czar, Dan Zak. Currently, 160 units are under construction and almost 300 more units are approved and ready to break ground. Another 400 units are under review by the Planning and Development Department. And when all of the potential projects that we are currently working on come to fruition, it will result in more than 5,000 units downtown. In fact, My wife told me that if I continue to work the long hours that I've been working at City Hall, I may need one of those downtown units. You know, our youth are not only the leaders of tomorrow, they really are the leaders of today. Investing in our youth is investing in our future. Did you know that only 17.5% of Fresno residents believe the city of Fresno is sufficiently investing in its youth? Beside this empirical data, I have held numerous youth forums this past year. Our youth have been impacted severely, emotionally, physically, and mentally as a result of the pandemic. Through the One Fresno nonprofit foundation, which we recently created, we are able to support our youth through efforts such as Camp Fresno, which we launched 2 weeks ago. We've already sent 2 groups of students to a 3-day mini camp where they had an opportunity to learn about civic engagement, community involvement, as well as enjoy our beautiful nature. Special thanks to Parks Director TJ Miller and Assistant Director Aaron Aguirre, Assistant City Manager Francine Kane, and our own Deputy Mayor DJ Matthew Grundy for making this a reality. I will never forget as I stood at the front of the chartered bus prior to the youth departing on our first outing when one of the young girls yelled out, "This is like heaven." So far, 95% of our youth have affirmed that our camps have helped them with their mental health, and 100% have shared that they have made new friends. In fact, this morning, we sent off our 3rd group to Camp Fresno. So if you want to give the One Fresno Foundation to support these youth, please feel free to do so. Our youth are enjoying Camp Fresno so much that many of our campers beg to come back the following week. In Fresno, we love our youth. The One Fresno Foundation is also providing opportunities for 9,000 underserved youth and their family members to participate in the One Fresno Zoo Days. Every Tuesday through August 15th, our youth will be able to experience our world-class Chaffee Zoo thanks to a partnership with Zoo Director John Dolan. Thank you, John, for this partnership. In terms of economic development, which is so important to our city, shortly after assuming office, my rockstar city manager, Tommy Escueda, worked closely with Councilmember Arias and a local developer, as well as some advocates to remove major hurdles and create a pathway to attract another Amazon fulfillment center in Fresno and associated facilities. This effort will serve to bring over 1,000 new jobs to Fresno this coming year. And thanks to the efforts of Deputy Mayor Matthew Grundy and Economic Development Director Lupe Perez, a partnership has been formed with the Fresno Metro Black Chamber of Commerce and the National League of Cities to launch the Kiva Microfinancing Program platform here in Fresno. This partnership fills a critical gap in our market's lending by allowing businesses to access 0% loans up to $15,000. This has been a huge help to new entrepreneurs and small businesses in dire need of funding, especially minority and female-owned businesses. Thank you, Matthew. Although many improvements have been made in our Planning and Development Department under the leadership of Director Jennifer Clark, Fresno has a long history, unfortunately, of creating barriers for developers and business owners, which stymies economic development in our city. It is difficult enough doing business in California, as you know, without local government adding more restrictions and delays. Soon after assuming office, I commissioned an assessment of our entire application, plan check, permitting, and inspection process, which involved multiple city departments. As a result, the existing structure, systems, staffing, and work culture are being dramatically enhanced. This will include the creation of the Express Development Team, staffing increases, and a much more timely and efficient review and approval process. With Fresno being named as having the hottest housing market in the nation, the timing could not be better. In terms of public safety, Fresno, like many cities, has seen a dramatic increase in violent crime this past year, something near and dear to my heart. Although recent violent crime trends under Chief Balderrama are promising, the department is still experiencing far too much crime and severe staffing shortages. I've asked Chief Balderrama to put together an aggressive strategic hiring plan in place to add 120 police officers over a 15-month period, filling all existing vacancies and all future vacancies, and to add more police officers to the streets of Fresno. In addition, 40 professional support personnel will also be added to enhance services to our community and free up officers to be more available to emergency calls for service. Thank you, City Council, for making that happen. Equipment and technology enhancements are also being made to include additional gunshot detection capabilities. And God knows we don't have a shortage of gunshots in Fresno. At this time, I would like all of our police officers, law enforcement officers, correctional officers, prosecuting attorneys to please stand up and be recognized. Now let me touch on my new friends, Fresno Fire Department. Our city is seeing a record number of fires, unfortunately, with a 60% increase over the past 2 years. With more than 42,000 calls for service annually, there is definitely a critical need for more firefighters in our city. The City Council and I approved yesterday the adding of 42 firefighters by May 2022, bringing the minimum daily staffing level up from 81 to 95 firefighters on duty each day. In addition, the department will be implementing a new medical aid response model, utilizing 3 two-person squads daily to respond to medical aid calls, utilizing much smaller vehicles. These smaller, quicker vehicles will have a primary role of responding to medical aid emergencies, keeping larger apparatus and firefighters readily available for fire and rescue calls. At this time, would all of our firefighters please stand up and be recognized? This last year was filled with many positive developments at the Fresno Yosemite International Airport, including enhanced air service by Alaska, Delta, United, and Volaris Airlines, and most recently with the American Airlines adding flights to Chicago. But more importantly, on April 25th, Southwest Airlines finally launched in Fresno, California. This new service will dramatically increase our city's ability to attract new business, as well as create more competitive airfares. These enhanced air services will coincide nicely with the near completion of a 4-level, 900-stall parking garage, which will open this fall, ahead of schedule and under budget, words not often heard in government. Thank you, Director Kevin Michael. And work has continued on the much-needed terminal expansion, including a new and expanded international arrival facility with a planned construction start date in early 2022 and completion slated for mid-2024, another boost in our economy. Fresno Yosemite Airport is one of the few airports in the United States to fully recover from the pandemic effects. In fact, Fresno Yosemite International Airport is on pace to have another record year, surpassing 2019 pre-pandemic passenger numbers. Yes, Fresno is a great city. And as I am often reminded, and I mean often, by my city manager, hey, don't forget about water. You gotta have water, Jerry. Never has this been more true. With the ever-present drought and the limited ability to access groundwater, most cities in California are fighting for more water. But not so in Fresno. A special thanks to former and current public utility directors, Tommy Escueda and Mike Carbajal, for providing us with a sustained water supply in the city of Fresno. Those previous investments are paying huge dividends today, increasing the opportunity to meet the demands of a booming city well into the future. In 2020, the city of Fresno produced nearly 40 billion gallons of water and treated just under 20 billion gallons of raw wastewater and the delivery of over 30 million gallons of recycled water. And you know what else makes Fresno a great city? We are a 5G city. Thanks to the Information Services Department and Director Brian Horn. Efforts are now underway for 5G deployments throughout the city of Fresno through a phased-in, multi-year process. In closing, I know most of you have been waiting for those words, especially those seated down below. I am betting on Fresno's future economy, and I do believe in Fresno. We are seeing dramatic increases in property tax revenue, as well as sales tax revenue, fueled by Amazon, big box stores, and automobile sales here in our city. These increased revenues, combined with sustained revenue from Measure P, along with state and federal dollars, allow us to meet many of the unmet needs in our city well into the future. Again, positioning Fresno to be a great city. And lastly, I am humbled and honored to serve as the mayor of this city. I never imagined that I would have such a tremendous opportunity to further serve the citizens of Fresno in this role. And as your mayor, I promise to serve you well and to do all I can to unite this city as one Fresno. God bless you, and God bless the city of Fresno. Thank you for coming out to the State of the City at Chukchansi Park. I love you. Fresno is a great city.